Filipina, and I'm a lawyer practicing corporate and energy law in the Philippines. So on to another law-related video. I really wanted to make a video that would have been helpful to me back when I was entering law school. I really want this video to be something that I wish I knew back then, a video that I wish I had access to back then, and maybe then it would have helped me decide about whether to pursue law school or not. Back in 2008? Yes, 2008. You know when something feels like a lifetime ago na parang hindi mo na siya talaga matatandaan? But yeah, back in 2008, when I entered law school, I really think that I didn't have much knowledge going into it. Lawyer din yung dad ko, and actually sa UP Law din siya nag-graduate. But the time that he took law school was in like 1972 ata yun, maybe 1971. So masyadong far removed na yung mga experiences niya as a law student to be relevant to me at the time that I entered law school. When I entered law school in 2008, hindi din naman uso yung mga YouTube videos noon. Wala namang masyadong nag-vlog noon. So there were so few resources that I could use to base my experience on. In short, wala akong marelate na videos. Wala akong marelate na experiences because I had no idea going into law school what it would be like. Disclaimer lang, because you know that lawyers love disclaimers. This video is based on my experience as a student in the UP College of Law or UP Law. The intention of this video is really to tell it like it is. So I'm not going to sugarcoat anything and I'm not going to embellish anything either. I'm just going to tell it like it is and really tell you what's up in law school. Trust me, law school is stressful enough as it is. It would be helpful if you know a few of the things that you can expect as a law student. So let's get into the video. The first thing that you can expect in law school is that it's a fresh start. It doesn't matter what your undergrad course is, what your family name is. It doesn't matter if you came from a financially strapped background compared to if you came from a privileged background. Law school, I've said before, and I always will maintain that it is the great equalizer, so everyone is on equal footing. I've mentioned before that my undergrad was fine arts, and in UP Law, the batch was composed of people from such colorful, such varied backgrounds. So there was psychology, molecular biology, philosophy, AB humanities, legal management. Tapos may mga tao na cum laude, meron din tao na wala namang honors. But I'm telling you, it didn't matter what your background was. Yung law school para siyang reset button in the sense that, for example, just because you weren't good in undergrad doesn't mean that you can't be really amazing in law school. Conversely din naman, just because you were an honor student in undergrad or just because you graduated cum laude in undergrad doesn't mean that you're going to succeed in law school. I had batchmates who were cum laude sa AB Political Science sa UP Diliman, which is actually considered the ideal course for a pre-law. But that didn't mean na nag-succeed sila. In fact, unfortunately, some of them did fail subjects. Your background will not have bearing on whether or not mag-thrive ka in law school. Law school is a whole new playing field. It has a whole new set of rules, so you can consider it as a fresh start. In fact, I would say that law school was a slice of humble pie, lalo na sa mga tao sa undergrad na medyo sanay sila na puriin lagi ng professors because of their high grades. It was humble pie for those people who could get away with not studying in undergrad and still getting honors. But in law school that they realized they couldn't do that anymore and bumagsak sila ng subject because they didn't study. Law school is just a whole new animal. The next thing that you can expect in law school is that studying is really going to be a way of life. Law school is really about studying. You can't go through law school without studying hard. If you weren't fond of studying back in undergrad, then that's something that has to change when you get to law school. Because you can't just study when you feel like it. You just simply won't survive. In fact, a lot of the time, you will not feel like studying at all. Because you're just so tired, or because you just feel so defeated from the day's struggle, the day's recitation, the day's exam. But it doesn't matter. You still have to push yourself to study. Law school is totally about day-to-day studying. Based on my experience, actually, I would say that it's very rare that a day will go by without you studying. Kahit weekend yan. So law school was a bit of a reality check for those people na naturally smart. You know those types of people who didn't really have to study that hard in undergrad, pero nag-graduate sila na cum laude, they got really high grades, na-realize nila na kailangan talaga nila mag-aral. And you didn't have to study to get high grades. You actually had to study for the most basic thing, which is survival. Kung di ka mag-aral, tapos ka. Di ka talaga tatagal sa law school. The next thing that you can expect in law school is that you will form an established routine which you need in order to cope. Being in law school is a lot about routine. It's a life of constant study with a bit of rest in between, which inevitably ends back at studying again. For years, it will literally be wake up, eat your breakfast, study your readings for class later in the day, go to school, attend your class, study in the library after your class, go home, eat dinner, study some more, maybe spend a little bit of time on Facebook or YouTube just to decompress, just to relax, study a bit more, and then sleep. And that just goes on day after day after day. In law school, you can expect that you will find a routine that works for you and you will stick to that routine. If you're the type of person who likes to live on the wild side, the type of person who dislikes consistency in their schedule, you know, a more spontaneous type of person, then law school will really have a way of ushering you into a routine or settling you into a routine, because you will be consistently studying day in and day out. You will also need to adapt a routine that allows you to consistently study. So wala na yung mga spontaneous trips to Tagaytay just because. Wala na yung mga long road trips out of town. Wala na yung mga yan. It just won't happen. Law school doesn't allow for that kind of spontaneity. So routine, routine, routine. Even if it may be difficult at the start, it will definitely help you in the end. In fact, I would say that a large part of bar review was heavily about routine. Kasi nung bar review talaga, you would have to sit your butt down for like 16 hours a day. Just studying and studying. In bar review, you had to schedule the subjects that you would study for on that day, that you would study for that month, or that you would study for the week. So fixing your routine as early as first year law will be very helpful for you when you're gearing up for the bar exam. The next thing that you can expect in law school is recitation every day. Like I said in my previous video, yung 5 myths about law school is taught via the Socratic method. The Socratic method was started by Socrates, who taught his students via intellectual discourse. So talagang verbal interaction. In short, nag-uusap kayo ng professor every class. So how that works in law school is that at the start of the semester, your professor will give you recitation cards. They're basically cards that you write your names on. So yan, magsusulat na kayo ng name, student number. Then the professor will get those cards, and every meeting, the professor will use that deck of cards to call the persons or the students who will recite for the day. The number of persons to be called for a particular class really varies from professor to professor. May mga prof dyan na tumatawag ng 5 students every meeting. May iba namang professor who would just call 2 students per meeting to recite. The way the questions are propounded to the students also differs from professor to professor. There are professors who will ask you to recite cases that are in the outline. For example, nagsha-shuffle yung professor ng deck of cards niya, tapos natawag yung name ko. That professor would ask, Miss Amador, give me the case of Poe versus Llamanzares. And then based on that, tatayo na ako from my seat, and then I would recite the case. Sir or ma'am, in the case of Poe versus Llamanzares, petitioner was blah 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 blah. So you really can't do away with recitation in law school. Like studying, recitation is a way of life. Sinabi ko na dati na ayoko ng public speaking, but I got over my fear of it because I went to law school. It's something that you have to accept if you want to stay in law school. Something that you have to work around if you don't like public speaking. Kaya nyo yan. Law school is taught via the Socratic method because professors are really trying to drive critical thinking in the students. And not just any critical thinking, but critical thinking on your toes. In recitation kasi, you're expected to be like this. At the snap of a finger, you would be able to give a correct answer. Kung masyadong matagal kang sumagot, then there's a high chance that the professor will ask you to sit down and will call on another student to recite. Tapos yun, bagsak na yung grade mo. Don't beat yourself up if you're not excellent at recitation your first few weeks or months even in law school. It's a learning curve. Sobrang bagong experience siya for all of you guys eh. Kasi pag elementary, high school, undergrad, hindi naman recitation yung way of schooling students eh. In those levels of education, talagang natuturo yung professor, yung parang this plus this, A plus B equals C. But it's a completely different system in law school because you will be the one answering the questions, and those questions will be any question that your lovely professor desires. So allow yourself time to adjust. Nobody's perfect, not even your magna cum laude batchmate. You have to allow yourself room to make mistakes. I still remember a recitation wherein umiyak ako sa dad ko. Hindi naman yung but definitely nagwe-well up yung tears sa eyes ko. Trust in yourself that you will learn as you go along. If at the start you were fumbling with your words, you were wringing your hands because you were so nervous, tingnan nyo lang, pag 4th year na kayo, masasanay din kayo, and recitation will no longer cause you to panic like it did when you were a first year freshie in law school. The next thing that you can expect in law school is that, of course, you will have less time for your family, your friends, your love life. Law school is the most difficult thing that you will do in your life, coupled with the bar exam. The road to getting that attorney title before your names is the most difficult, perilous road ever, full of hurdles and obstacles. What I'm saying is that because the rewards are very big when you become a lawyer, you have to be prepared and committed to sacrifice so you can actually get there. You have to give up going to Baler randomly just because you want to surf. You have to give up weekly movie nights, to give up quality time with your jowa. You know what? I remember I even missed my 10-year high school reunion just because I had finals on that weekend and I had to study. So talagang marami kayong mamimiss out on. But honestly, that's part of the sacrifice that you have to make. Nothing worth having comes easy. And totoo talaga yung saying na yun when it comes to law school. Those 4 years in law school, or 5 if you're a working student, you really have to be focused with your eyes on the prize. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes. Because really, it's no walk in the park. It's the opposite of a walk in a park. It's draining, it's exhausting, it's humiliating. But I promise you, if you just see it through, it will be worth it in the end. Pwede ba na mag-love life in law school? Well, when I was in law school, yes, meron akong boyfriend. It would actually be a great thing if law student din yung boyfriend or girlfriend nyo, because then they would completely understand your unavailability, or na wala kang time to grab lunch with them, or may mamimiss ka na anniversary just because you have to study for your class the next day. In law school, you will really be forced to reassess your priorities and to recalibrate your priorities. Kasi yung mga priorities before na you thought were important to you, more often than not, di siya magiging conducive to success in law school. There are things that you will really have to give up, but in exchange, there are a lot of things that you will gain naman pag lawyer na kayo. The next thing that you can expect in law school is sleepless nights, mental anguish, anxiety, pressure, and nerves. Sorry, sabi ko talaga hindi ako mag-sugarcoat eh. But all of those things are true. I remember nung first week ko sa law school, may dinidate ako noon eh. And he would accompany me to study in McDonald's until 6 a.m. of the next day. So the evening before kami magsa-start sa McDonald's, like probably around 9 p.m. Then we would stay in McDonald's until 6 a.m. of the next day. Ang lala, diba? I still remember how the sunlight looked hitting the window the next morning. There will be so many sleepless nights in law school, I can't even begin to explain. Laging puyat. Laging pagod. That's actually another reason why mawawalan kayo ng time for your hobbies when you're in law school eh. Kasi may isip nyo na, instead of doing my hobbies, for example, going to the gym, eating at a new restaurant, you would rather sleep because you're just so sleep deprived. Naiisipin nyo na, instead of doing that, matutulog na lang ako. Pagod na ako. Can't escape the sleepless nights, can't escape the nerves, can't escape the pressure, because they will be there. No matter what law school you study in. The real determinant will be whether or not you can handle that stress, that anguish, sleepless nights, anxiety properly. Whether madedefeat ka ng mga bagay na yon, or whether you will embrace them as inevitable parts of law school and simply move forward. Ganun kasi ang law school eh. You can't be stuck, for example, sa bad performance mo during that day. You have to move forward. If you wallow in self-pity, hindi ka makakahabol. Law school is really just moving forward. Regardless of how you feel, regardless of the results of recitation of that day, talagang go lang. Push lang talaga. The next thing that you can expect in law school is, obviously, that you will carry a lot of bags. Of course, sa law school, meron kang personal bag. So, whether girl ka or guy ka, may personal handbag ka or backpack, whatever. Tapos meron ka pang bag of readings. And that bag of readings will get very, very heavy. Like 90% of the time. You will get readings from the photocopying station in your law school. Yung photocopying station, may list na yan of the outline of the professors. Yung photocopying center, may set na sila of the cases for that particular professor. So yung mangyayari dyan is pupunta lang kayo sa photocopying center ng law school nyo and you will tell them, kailangan ko yung readings for Professor X. So yun, they will photocopy the whole set for you and yun na yung readings mo. Yung sets na yun contain so many cases. And it's not just one set for the entire semester, Siguro yung set na to, it would last just for a couple of weeks. Yung set na ganito kakapal. So you can just imagine the stacks of paper that will pile up in your house, in your condo. I remember, in fact, that one of the projects of the organization na member ako sa UP Law was a paper drive. And we earned so much money from that paper drive. Kasi ang dami-dami nga naming papel each. Recycling ang peg. It's so much paper. And because it's so much paper, it's also so much bags. So you know what, nowadays, I'm so used to carrying heavy bags. Sometimes when people try to help me with my heavy bags, I always tell them, okay lang yan, sanay na ako, nag-law school ako eh. So you can expect that. The next thing that you can expect in law school is collective humiliation. In law school, you will see your blockmates and your batchmates at their worst and at their best. Makikita mo sila on days where they're really not as prepared as they would like to be. So sablay yung sagot nila, and you can see how down they are after and how bad they feel after a botched recitation. You'll see them naman on those days where they feel like they did well, so masaya sila. In short, you will share so many common experiences with your batchmates. One of them lang yung collective humiliation. It will really happen to the best of you in law school. Even the most brilliant of law students, you will really see your batchmates get scolded by your professor, or corrected, or told to sit down. Yun kasi yung nangyayari kung hindi natuwa yung professor sa answer nyo. They will tell you to sit down. For example, natawag ka and you weren't able to properly answer or ang tagal-tagal mong sumagot. They will tell you, sit down, Miss Amador. Tapos mag-shuffle ulit yan ng cards. Tapos tatawag ng ibang student. That happens so many times in law school. Sometimes it even happens that students consecutively can't answer. For example, student A cannot answer, so the professor calls student B. Student B still can't answer, so professor calls student C. Sometimes it just sets off a chain reaction of failing grades. Collective humiliation, it's a thing. It will happen. But there are also still silver linings to collective humiliation, which brings me to my next topic. The next thing that you can expect in law school is that you will grow thick skin. In short, kakapal yung balat nyo and kakapal din yung mukha nyo, guys. I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing because it's a coping mechanism. I've said before that law school is really a test of grit and tenacity and character. It's not a test of intelligence. So it's not about who is the smartest, but it's really about who has enough grit to get over themselves, yung mga fears nila, doubts, sadness, bad days, mood swings. It's about the person who can overcome all of that and still remain in law school and still go through the hardships of law school kahit sobrang hirap na siya. If a bad day or a couple of bad days or a bad exam or a few bad exams will make you just give up and throw in the towel, talagang walang mangyayari sa inyo. So growing thick skin is actually essential to make you get over yourself, to make you get over a bad day, a bad exam, a bad recit, or a bad experience in your personal life. And just focus on studying, on staying in law school, on making sure that the next day is a better day. You really need thick skin in law school to be able to shake it off. You know, the value of not taking things personally. The next thing that you can expect in law school is that you will make a lot of new friends. This is one of the silver linings of yung collective humiliation. It's the trauma of that collectively humiliating experience that will make you guys so close. I would compare it to soldiers in war. Yung talaga magbabonding kayo kasi sobrang hirap ng conditions nyo. So to this day, the different blocks in law school are still close. They still see each other. Some of them nag-bridesmaid or groomsman sa mga wedding. These are people who will be spending 5 or even 6 days a week with. You're going to be sharing study tips. You're going to be spending time, library breaks, lunches, dinners, inumans. With all of these people, you all have the same goal. You're all driven. So these are people who are not just very different from you, but also very alike in a lot of ways. So it's very, very likely that you will become great friends with your blockmates. Thankful ako na yung mga tao sa UP Law, walang crab. Also, wala ding nagka-create ng unnecessary drama. Law school is difficult enough as it is. Nobody needs drama. I'm so glad that none of that happened in law school. Everyone helped each other out. Everyone tried to comfort each other. It was a really great community. UP Law for the win. The next thing that you can expect in law school is that you will end up liking coffee and alcohol. My brother, who is in Ateneo Law, when he was in high school undergrad, he hated coffee and alcohol. Judo varsity siya, so parang, oh, don't like alcohol, it's unhealthy. I don't like coffee either, it messes with my nerves, makes me jittery, ganyan. But now, dinadahan ko pa siya ng Starbucks. Nagsishare pa sila ng beer ni Mike, my husband. So never say never. Law school will make you uncover a lot of things you didn't know about yourself. Law school could make you like things that you never thought you'd like, make you do things that you never thought you'd do. In law school, coffee is life. It was so hard to study without coffee, and to this day, I find it hard to work without coffee. And I think that started in law school. Probably did. I don't know if it's physiological, like my body needs coffee for my mind to be alert, or if it's just psychological or psychosomatic. Definitely coffee was like life juice in law school. Alcohol, of course, came in pag sobrang stressed after exams or after a tough week of law school. Yan, dyan napapasok yung inuman, yung mga walwalan. And I had my fair share of walwalan when I was in law school. Alcohol, pampadistress yan eh. It really helped us unwind. And it was something to look forward to with the blockmates. My blockmates and I, we've had a lot of embarrassing moments because of alcohol. Buti na lang hindi pa masyadong uso yung pictures then. Actually, even when you're in the law practice, you will find that lawyers like alcohol. When I was working in my dream law firm, I still remember that a lot of the partners there had bottled liquor in their offices. Tapos pag trip nilang uminom, tatawagin nila yung mga associate. Uy guys, inom tayo. Parang, syempre associate ka, you couldn't say no. So yeah, lawyers do like to drink. And that habit probably starts in law school. The next thing that you can expect in law school is that your friends and family will start to ask you for free legal advice. That happens especially pag latter years ka na of law school, like third year, fourth year. In first year, second year, you still feel like a law school newbie eh. You feel like a noob. Like you're really still figuring your crap out. But then when you're in third year and fourth years, you start to get a bit more confident. and you start to feel a bit more comfortable about sharing your legal knowledge with others or about helping others based on what you know about the law. So definitely you can expect that people will start to ask for legal advice. And it's not a bad thing. It actually serves as practice for when you're a lawyer na. Because a lot of the time, people actually ask the same topics. Yung mga practical stuff, that common problems like annulment of marriage, property disputes, succession issues. So it's something that you should definitely be aware happens, and it will happen even more when you guys become lawyers na. The next thing that you can expect in law school is that your new tambayan will be Starbucks and the library. When I was a law student, I'd say I spent like 50% of my time studying in coffee shops. Why do so many law students study at Starbucks or at coffee shops? There's a very simple reason for that. It's because if they study at home, makakatulog lang sila. Sitting in a coffee shop somewhere where you have no option but to sit at your desk and to face your book is the disciplined environment that a lot of law students need to be able to effectively study. Pag bahay kasi, ang daming distractions the most distracting of which is your bed. May internet pa. There are people pa in your house who will engage you in conversation. So at home, there's so many different things vying for your attention. But the thing that you really need to do is to study. Starbucks, it's like bread and butter. Hindi na yan matatanggal sa law school experience. You can just tell when you walk into Starbucks that you're gonna see a law student somewhere. Needless to say, the library will also be your second home. As you go on in law school, you will find your favorite spot in the library. Every law student has a favorite spot in the library where they like to study. Tapos sa umaga, if you want that spot, maglalagay na kayo ng gamit so you can reserve that table. If you were never a library person, I have a feeling that will change when you're in law school. Because it's a place where you can study that will give you peace and quiet. Where you have the right to tell yung mga maiingay na students, shh, shh, I'm studying! In the same vein, the next thing that you can expect is that your new favorite store in the mall will be National Bookstore. Office Warehouse din pala. How could I forget Office Warehouse? Doon ko binibili yung mga highlighter ko dati. The good thing about Office Warehouse highlighters is that you can refill them. Schneider yung brand. Like they have like a little pot. And then, once naubos yung highlighter nyo, all you have to do is stick it in that pot. And then magre-refill siya automatically. Galing, diba? And eco-friendly too because you don't have to keep on buying individual highlighters. Law school is like the dream of every lover of office supplies. Because in law school, you will be buying so many different colored highlighters, different colored pens, paper clips, sticky notes, yung overbuying school materials because you feel like by some magical stroke of luck, having all these office supplies will help you retain your readings in your head. Kanya-kanyang study style ang law school. I can do a separate video about the study style that worked for me. But ultimately, the study style that a law student should stick to really depends on him or her. Hindi kasi yan one size fits all But yun, the common thing during my time was that people really used highlighters. People really printed out the material. They highlighted them. They wrote notes on them. Nag-highlight din sila ng codals nila. Nagsusulat sa codals. You guys might know that I taught in law school. I taught the subject Human Rights in the LSU College of Law. Napansin ko that a lot of the students actually no longer physically print their material. Napapansin ko that they kept their readings on iPads or laptops. And it reminded me of a study that I read that for detention purposes, physical copies, reading a physical copy that you can hold in your hand is much better for retaining information compared to reading stuff off an iPad or a laptop. So that's something that definitely worked for me and my batchmates. Yung buying plenty of different colored highlighters and physically highlighting readings. Yumaman talaga yung National Bookstore and Office Warehouse sa mga law students. The next thing that you can expect in law school is information saturation. You guys are going to be bombarded with so much info from so many different sources. Law school is just information saturation, day in and day out. In a particular subject, you're looking at a particular set of laws. There's only one version of each law. But the thing is, ang daming different commentaries. Commentaries are law books written by lawyers or law authors. Ang dami ding different review material for different schools. And law students have to take it upon themselves to be the ones to choose the material that they want to read. When you're in law school, your professor will give a recommended textbook. But it's up to you if you want to read additional material. Like me, I really made sure to read my San Beda Red Notes side by side with codals and with the recommended textbook. So just because there's so many law resources and so many textbooks, so many sources of information, doesn't mean you have to read them all. Don't think that the more the better. You shouldn't bother with trying to read every single material that comes your way. In all likelihood, mako-confuse lang kayo Stick to the material that you know you like and focus on mastering that material. For the bar exam especially, what's important is knowing the basics. It may not be that way in law school because in law school, the professors are really trying to test you on like a micro level. Professors in law school are really testing your knowledge inside out of the law. But the bar exam tests you on the basics. So it's a different style. So that brings me to the end of my video. I really hope that this video will give you an idea of what to expect in law school. It's harrowing, but it's also rewarding. It's tough, but because of that, it also makes you tough. There will be moments wherein you will feel so defeated, but there are also moments where you will feel so triumphant. So don't ever let anyone talk you out of going to law school because it's difficult. It is hard, but if you really want it, you'll find a way to make it happen. In the end, you will see that all the hardships were worth it. So that is really it, guys. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Please also don't forget to hit the subscribe button and to turn on the notification bell below if you would like to be notified of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching and see you in my next video. Bye!